Hello, I'm Helen from Literature Works, and it's our pleasure to be programming the Quay Words programme at Exeter Custom House on Exeter Quayside on behalf of Exeter Canal and Quay Trust. We're all about expressing yourself through words and stories, and we really want to work with young writers. If you haven't been to Exeter Custom House, do come and have a look. It's an amazing building, it's open and it's a hub for literature. The programme's on exetercustomhouse.org.uk and our work at Literature Works is on literatureworks.org.uk.
Welcome to Customs House Quay, Exeter, a place that is rich with story. And that's what we're going to be exploring today in this workshop. We're going to be exploring the things that capture your interest. My name's Wyl Menmuir. I'm a novelist and short story writer and teacher of creative writing. For me, starting a short story is always a process of gathering clues. It's a process of finding out what's interesting to me. The way that I think about it is as though I've got a kind of metal detector in my head, except instead of detecting metal, it's detecting things that are interesting, things that catch my attention. So what I want you to do is when you arrive I want you to turn that metal detector on. Start thinking about the things that catch your imagination and follow me into the Customs House Quay. Come on in. It's possible to find stories in all sorts of different places, and sometimes all we need is the right building. When I'm casting around for a story, I have a little gauge in my mind on the lookout for interesting things. When something catches my eye, I'll make a note of it. It might start with the doors through which I've walked. I might make a note of how they look, the feel of the mechanism as they open and close, the bolts on the inside and the weight of the doors themselves. I might notice the oversized banister, surely put in place to make the traders who stopped here and had to walk through these oversized doors feel smaller than they really were, that they were in the presence of authority. I might look up at the plasterwork and take note of the animals that form part of the decoration, the grotesque pigs' heads, the eels that seem to be dripping from the ceiling. And while I'm looking up, I might notice a hatchway into an attic to which I have no access. Attics, like cellars, are rich ground for fiction, especially locked attics. I might notice things that look out of place, such as the hydrometers which can be found in many of the rooms. In reality, these machines are measuring humidity on an endless graph, though to my storyteller's mind they might represent something else entirely. I might draw these things, describe them, take photographs of them, touch them, smell them, investigate them closely and look at them from afar. And I'll make sure I note them in my book. Because when I come to write my story, I've got those things swirling round in my head and I begin to play with them. Even though they're unconnected, I begin to make connections between them. In my head, the hydrometers are actually machines looking to detect paranormal activity, which means there's a scientist or a researcher in this place and therefore someone who called the paranormal investigator, that's what they are, in. But why? Why call in a paranormal investigator? Because my character, Jude, let's call her for this time being, heard something. Strange noises in the house she rattles around in on her own. Maybe she's prone to hearing things and becomes convinced there's a ghost. So I've got Jude, I've got my paranormal investigator, let's call her Mary for the sake of argument. I can always change that later. She doesn't believe in ghosts, but investigating them is good money and she needs money. The investigation begins in earnest and leads to the locked attic door. And who would dare open a locked attic door in a potentially haunted house? Mary, who doesn't believe in ghosts. And what's behind the door? What's making all this ghostly noise? And wouldn't it be interesting if the thing that was making the noise turned out to be not ghosts but eels? And why are the eels there? I'm not sure yet, but I'll play with the idea until I've got the plot of my short story. What story will you find at Custom House Quay? The needle on the machine juddered. enough to disturb the flat line that was snaking its way across the paper. Mary smiled to herself. Everything was working perfectly. She had set them up in all the rooms upstairs. It had taken her ages to get the mechanism right.
It was a case of convincing the client. Too many judders, and they questioned what it was picking up. Too few, and they were convinced it wasn't working. A few small shakes every few minutes. That's all you needed to convince someone the machine was working and that it was picking up a signal from the other side.